Good evening. A deep freeze has descended on the GTA and is expected to stick around.
For some, the conditions are uncomfortable, but for those who have nowhere to go, they can be dangerous. CTV's Rahim Ladani is live outside tonight with more. Rahim, how are you handling it?
Hi, Michelle. Yeah, it certainly is uncomfortable to be outside right now, and I think we've reached a new level of uncomfortableness. When I spoke with you both at noon, the sun was shining, there was some daylight, and that helped a little bit. But right now, with that gone, you have the cold, you couple that with the strong gusts of wind, it makes it very challenging to be outside. Now, most of the people we've been speaking with, they're taking it in stride, but then you have those who are experiencing homelessness, some of the city's most vulnerable population, and for them, these extreme temperatures can be quite dangerous. Whether you have 2 legs or 4, everyone is bundled up on a day like this.
As you can see, it's ski mask weather.
I got like 3 layers under here, the gloves necessary, lip balm.
And everyone has a unique strategy to keep warm.
With my bear hat and bear jacket.
While there are moments of sunshine, the frigid cold and harsh gusting winds make for uncomfortable working conditions. But those with pets are hoping for the best.
They're an Australian breed, so they're not really used to the Canadian winters, but they seem to love it.
Though the love may fade as the GTA settles in for a prolonged cold spell.
As far as I can see, 18 days where we won't see a thawing temperature. It's the intensity of it, but it's also the duration of it that actually wears you down.
But then there's Dean, who's decided to have lunch outside, finding warmth in some shell pasta with sausage and marinara sauce.
I try and take a moment to reflect. If it's winter out, it's still a bit of sunlight, still a bit of I don't even have music going or anything. It's just nice to hang out, have a moment outside.
However, if you don't have somewhere to warm up afterwards, moments outside can be dangerous, particularly for those most vulnerable.
Not to be dark, but as someone who's done this work for a long time, I've picked up people's toes off the floor. They've come off because of frostbite. These are the things that we really need to think about that are massively disabling for people.
A number of individuals are making use of the Cecil Community Centre. It's one of 2 surge sites the City of Toronto activates when the temperature dips below -15 with the wind chill. That's in addition to the 5 warming centres, and those relying on the service are grateful.
It's not bad. It's just cots, and it's not the greatest sleeping arrangements, but you can only get what the city has for funding, right?
I think the city's doing a good job as far as the statistics are concerned, but they're overwhelming.
The city says if one location is full, staff will refer people to an available space at another site. Now, the city tells me that since the beginning of the day, the warming centers and surge sites have been near full capacity. They also tell us that extra outreach workers are on the streets throughout the day, talking to people, handing out blankets, and making sure those who aren't comfortable coming inside are safe outside. Reporting live, I'm Rahim Ladani. Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Rahim. And still with the weather, north of the city today, Highway 11 was closed in both directions between Gravenhurst and Bracebridge. It happened after a multi-vehicle crash over the noon hour. Police tell CTV News there were a number of collisions in the area, as well as vehicles that ended up off the road. The highway was closed for more than 3 hours this afternoon, with people warned to avoid unnecessary travel in the area.
And sticking with weather, time now for a check on the forecast. Here's a live shot of the city. We've got the bitter cold. There's also a snowfall warning in effect. So how long will this cold snap continue? Let's check in with Lindsay Morrison for a look at the current forecast. Hey, Lindsay.
Yeah, Nathan, it's hard to decide which is a bigger weather story right now, this prolonged period of extreme cold or the snow. More of it into the day tomorrow. Let's begin with a look at the cold. It's -12 degrees this hour at Pearson Airport. We have barely warmed up today. Wind chills feeling into the -20s all day long. This is easily our coldest day of the season so far. And as Rahim mentioned, we've had some strong winds the last couple of days. Still gusting to near 50 kilometers per hour right now and contributing to some snow squalls off of Georgian Bay and the lower Great Lakes. But it's these ones that contributed to that multi-vehicle pileup on Highway 11 today. There are still a couple of snow squall watches and warnings in effect, but there is also this snowfall warning. It was issued late this afternoon for the City of Toronto, Vaughan, Markham, Pickering, Ajax, Whitby, Oshawa, and then communities further east. There's also a snowfall warning for communities to the west of us. We here in the GTA anticipating about 10 centimeters of fresh snow into tomorrow. 5 to 10, generally speaking, around the GTA. Overnight tonight, it's calm, it's quiet, mainly cloudy and minus 12 degrees. But this swath of snow is going to make your Wednesday interesting. So we'll talk about this and detail the very cold air that returns into next weekend. Lots ahead in your weather forecast. For now, though, Michelle, over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Crews remain at the scene of an early morning fire in Oshawa.
The blaze sent 3 people to hospital and 1 person is still unaccounted for. CTV's Allison Hurst is live at the scene with more. Allison.
Nathan, as you might have just seen behind me, that is a large salt truck. What they're doing now is they're trying to clear the thick, sheer ice that built up throughout the day after crews were battling that fire for hours. From all of the water they were dumping on it, it flooded the road and froze quite thick. So they've been pouring salt on it, and they've now got plows coming to try and break some of that ice apart to try and get it to melt so that they can reopen the road because it is still closed. Meantime, an excavator did come in, and the house was standing behind me. You wouldn't really be able to see it now because it's so dark, but it is now in pieces. Police confirming for us that there were multiple units inside. Flames soar out of the roof of this Oshawa home as smoke pours from the upstairs windows. Crews attacking it from all angles.
Flames were 20 feet high and a lot of smoke, I had to leave and go to Tim Hortons because the smoke was coming towards my house.
When firefighters arrived shortly after 4 a.m., they did a quick search of the first and second floors. 3 men were taken to hospital and are being treated for smoke inhalation. 3 other residents managed to escape without injury, and 1 man is still unaccounted for.
It was like a rooming house, probably about 7, 8 people.
Collective, like people come and go from there all the time, so it was we don't know for sure who was all here.
Neighbor Sam McFadden says one of them knocked on her neighbor's door.
My neighbor gave him a pair of shoes and a coat to put on, but then he went back over and he probably was escorted to the hospital.
Durham Regional Police say they have identified the man who is missing, and he is a resident of the house. What they don't know is whether he was inside at the time.
We're just currently looking for him, and he could be anywhere.
The fire burned for hours with fiery embers blowing off the roof. Hotspots continued to challenge crews into the late morning.
When we knew it was in the basement, and with the length of time, the guys pulled out just for safety concerns. And then, we had a hard time getting into the fire from the outside. We let it burn through the roof so we could set up the aerial. The aerial is still hitting it now.
Investigators climbed to the top of that aerial truck to peer inside the hole in the roof and get a better look at the situation.
It was apparently hoarding conditions.
The Ontario Fire Marshal and Durham Regional Police criminal investigators are on standby.
We have nothing to indicate whether it's suspicious or not.
Officials brought in an excavator to search through parts of the home and determine if there are any hotspots remaining. And we are still waiting to learn from investigators what the cause may have been and where it may have originated. Meantime, crews are still going to be working on Bloor Street East for at least a little while longer as they try to break up all this ice before they can reopen it. It is still closed at this time between Ritson and Simcoe. Reporting live, I'm Allison Hurst. Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Allison. A Brampton man charged in connection with a large-scale vehicle crime investigation has been granted a stay of court proceedings. The judge granted a defense request in a Brampton court today, citing a violation of the accused's charter rights. The delay in the case was more than 18 months. Milton Hilton was charged in 2024 with 168 offenses, including uttering forged documents and trafficking in stolen goods. At the time, police say the accused, working as a third party, allegedly registered several vehicles through Service Ontario that had been illegally revinned to make them appear legitimate. Police allege Hilton had been operating as an unlicensed car dealer and broker. At City Hall today, Torontonians had the chance to weigh in on the 2026 budget.
The wish list is long, but money is short. CTV's Natalie Johnson has the latest on the proposed spending plan.
In a city where everyone wants a piece of the pie, The question for City Hall is how to divvy it all up.
We must protect Toronto's long-term care capacity.
Accessible and affordable housing does not exist in the City of Toronto.
If we continue funding shelters without employment pathways, we will continue funding that revolving door.
Torontonians making their case for changes to the budget today. Funding for the arts among the big asks.
A lot of arts organizations connect to things that are there to provide people with food and shelter.
If you want artists to continue to deliver world-class experiences and culture here in Toronto, then you need to ensure that we are able to afford to live and work here.
With the Trump tariffs and what's happening south of us, it does impact the arts and many other organizations in many ways. And a lot of businesses have actually pulled back funding. So the city have had to step up.
What we heard today is thank you. Do more and go faster.
Can you go faster?
This is a tough year. We had a bunch of completely unforeseen problems. Premier Ford cutting the speed cameras, an unexpectedly low TTC ridership.
The Budget Committee and Mayor will consider the feedback provided by the residents who weigh in as part of this process and can make adjustments to the spending plan before it goes to a vote. But officials acknowledge there is not a lot of financial wiggle room in this tight budget year.
There's consensus that we're living in an affordability crisis. There's the pressure of the tariff situation, an unstable environment, and the fact that the mayor made a commitment that after 2 years of significant property tax increases, this year would be about consolidating the wins that have been made.
The Board of Trade, though, pushing back on how this year's low property tax hike is achieved.
We appreciate keeping the headline property tax increase at 2.2% is intended to provide relief, but it relies on hundreds of millions of dollars in temporary bridging and reserve draws, essentially borrowing from tomorrow to fund today.
An election year budget that's got Torontonians talking.
Do you believe that what is said in that room will change this budget?
No. This is the mayor's budget. I'm worried it's a performative exercise.
Stakeholders say they'll be watching to see whether City Hall is listening. Natalie Johnson, CTV News.
Just ahead, the latest on the Canadian woman found dead on an Australian beach as the investigation into her death continues. The family of the 19-year-old BC woman is speaking out about their loss. But first, support offices have now opened at school boards under provincial supervision. The Ford government saying the move is part of a much-needed overhaul.
But critics are not on the same page. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris has the latest.
That's the special thing about they've been billed as a more direct way to raise concerns and get help. New parent and student support offices at school boards under provincial supervision, including Dufferin Peel Catholic, Toronto Catholic, and the TDSB.
Taking what we already do, and that is respond to questions and concerns from students and parents, and really formalize the process.
Critics see this as an attempt to replace what trustees had been doing.
It's smoke and mirrors from the minister. You are taking away the support and advocacy of a trustee who will help you navigate the whole process, and you're replacing it with another layer of bureaucracy.
There's no new money for these offices. Staff have been reassigned from elsewhere. At the TDSB, it's an office of 2.
We'll try to be acknowledging all of those emails or phone calls within 48 hours and to address the question or concern within 5 business days.
This sideline trustee worries about longer waits for action and families not having someone to advocate on their behalf.
But if more people know about it, then that, I think, in itself is constructive, particularly at a time when parent engagement is being restricted.
With board meetings closed, streaming not officially allowed, and there are other barriers to getting involved.
You don't have a computer, or you don't know how to use a computer, or you can't do that in English, or there are accessibility problems that prevent you from using a computer to communicate. You're out of luck.
These support offices are expanding. School boards across Ontario are expected to have them ready to go for next school year. That's whether or not trustees continue to be part of the picture. At Queen's Park, Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Just ahead, meet one of Canada's favorite crossing guards. He's a familiar face to kids in one downtown Toronto neighborhood, and he hasn't been on the job that long. Find out what makes him tops.
The Ontario Liberal Caucus is recommending John Fraser for interim leader, a role he's poised to hold for a 3rd time. Riding Association presidents and executive council still have to vote on that choice, which will happen in the coming days. The party has also said full leadership race details will be released February 9th. It comes after Bonnie Crombie stepped down last week. Fraser has served as the MPP for Ottawa South since 2013.
Former federal Justice Minister Jody Wilson-Raybould has announced she will be starting treatment for breast cancer. In a post on social media, she says the treatment comes following recent surgery. Raybould calls the situation scary and unsettling, but says she takes strength from the many people who have shared stories of resilience and healing with her over the years. Wilson-Raybould spent 3 years in former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's Liberal cabinet before she resigned and was re-elected to her Vancouver riding as an independent in 2019.
Police in Australia are searching for answers following the discovery of the body of a Canadian teenager this week.
At this stage, it's too early to speculate on cause of death. We simply can't confirm whether this young lady drowned or died as a result of being attacked by dingoes.
19-year-old Piper James was from Campbell River, BC. Police in the Australian state of Queensland have not released the victim's name, but say her body was found yesterday morning on a beach on Fraser Island. They say it was surrounded by a pack of about 10 wild dogs. James had been working on the island for the last 6 weeks and was traveling with a fellow Canadian. The result of a post-mortem is expected by tomorrow. Global Affairs Canada is providing consular assistance to the family. Her father, Todd, posted a statement on Facebook that reads, "Our hearts are shattered as we share the tragic loss of our beautiful daughter, Piper. We will always remember her infectious laugh and her kind spirit. I admired her strength and determination to go after her dreams. She was glad I was on board for her trip to Australia, LOL. She said, because I'm 18 and you can't stop me. Mostly I loved hearing about and seeing the bonds and friendships she was developing as she grew into her beautiful self." James also says his daughter loved and was proud of her work at BC Wildfire Services and says so many people will miss her and she will never be forgotten. Well, some strong words from Canada's Prime Minister addressing leaders at the World Economic Forum in Davos.
Without mentioning the U.S. President, Mark Carney said the rules-based world order is fading and we must adapt. CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver reports.
Nestled in the usually calm mountains of the ski town Davos, a chaotic meeting of hundreds of politicians and top business leaders at the World Economic Forum that this year Prime Minister Mark Carney used to deliver a frank message about the future.
The old order is not coming back. We shouldn't mourn it. Nostalgia is not a strategy. But we believe that from the fracture, we can build something bigger, better, stronger, more just.
Carney declared the U.S.-led world order dead and said countries must turn inward now that it's clear integration can lead to subordination.
Call it what it is, a system of intensifying great power rivalry where the most powerful pursue their interests using economic integration as coercion.
Withstanding those economic shocks, the Prime Minister said will require like-minded countries to pivot, to work together to hedge uncertainty. While Trump's name was never mentioned, Carney did call on middle powers like Canada to push back against domination by great powers, using tariffs as leverage and supply chains as vulnerabilities to be exploited.
In a world of great power rivalry, the countries in between have a choice. Compete with each other for favor, or to combine to create a third path with impact.
The message receiving what organizers described as a rare standing ovation at a summit where geopolitics and the future of Greenland is looming large.
Our commitment to NATO's Article 5 is unwavering. Canada strongly opposes tariffs over Greenland and calls for focused talks to achieve our shared objectives of security and prosperity in the Arctic.
Carney may get a chance to raise his concerns about Greenland directly to the U.S. president. While no meeting is currently scheduled between Carney and Donald Trump, the U.S. president will be here tomorrow at the same time as Mark Carney. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Davos, Switzerland.
And as Annie mentioned, Donald Trump is headed for Davos, but before he left Washington, he marked the one-year anniversary of his second term in office with a wide-ranging press conference.
CTV's Joy Malbin has more.
Marking his first year of his second term.
It's big stuff, too. Look, we have the hottest country in the world.
The U.S. president giving his own assessment, flashing mugshots of immigration arrests.
They're murderers, they're drug lords, drug dealers.
From his hardline crackdown in U.S. cities on undocumented immigrants, admitting he felt badly about the ICE shooting death of Renee Good.
I felt horribly when I was told that the young woman who was had the tragedy.
The president touting his capture of Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro, bombing Iran's nuclear facilities. 1 year later, though, it's a battle of narratives. Domestically, Americans are struggling. Donald Trump promised to tackle high prices. Polls give him failing marks on that, and voters disapprove of his foreign adventures.
Well, I don't think they're going to push back too much. Look, we have to have it. They have to have this done. They can protect it. Denmark.
On his way to Davos, Trump is digging in, refusing to back down on Greenland, part of Denmark and a NATO ally. Even though a treaty allows the U.S. to expand its military presence there, Trump wants to own it. Posting an image of him planting a U.S. flag on Greenland, claiming it as U.S. territory. And threatening tariffs on 8 NATO allies that don't go along with his plan, a fracture in the NATO alliance. The French president labeled it as a world without rules.
We need more stability in this world, but we do prefer respect to bullies.
The European Parliament now threatening to suspend its trade deal with America.
And that was CTV's Joy Malbin reporting in Washington. Here on this side of the border, reaction to Trump's Truth Social post featuring Canada and Greenland draped in the American flag is drawing, as expected, a negative reaction. CTV's Mike Lecouteur has more.
The original photo came from an August meeting between President Donald Trump and European leaders. It shows them in the Oval Office with a map of Ukraine and Russia in the background. A newly doctored version posted by Trump shows a different type of expansionism. The new map shows the stars and stripes painted over Greenland, Venezuela, and Canada.
He wants to be in control. He wants to manage. He wants to run the hemisphere and be a dictator.
Former Foreign Affairs Minister Lloyd Axworthy believes Canada needs to push back.
I think it's about time we showed a little sort of what the hell is going on, Mr. Trump? Would you stop this nonsense? Because if he's not confronted, then he will feel emboldened to go ahead.
Now, the Globe and Mail is reporting hypothetical responses to a U.S. military invasion are being modeled by the Canadian Armed Forces. However, the Foreign Affairs Minister would only speak broadly about national defense.
To always ensure that the defense and protection of our country is first and foremost on top of our list of priorities.
CTV News requested a comment from the Canadian Armed Forces, but we did not get one. Trump has mused about taking over Canada for more than a year, but one of his former advisors downplayed the seriousness of that particular post.
But just in an interview that he did a few hours ago, he didn't say anything about the United States taking over Canada, and in fact referred to Canada's interest also in the Arctic. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that from the Canadian perspective.
Kellyanne Shaw says Trump is having a little fun with that post, but for many in Canada, it's serious. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
The European Union is also pushing back on Greenland. Today, the bloc's top official criticized Donald Trump's plan to impose tariffs on countries that oppose a U.S. takeover of the island.
Our northern NATO members have Arctic-ready forces right now. And above all, that Arctic security can only be achieved together. And this is why the proposed additional tariffs are a mistake, especially between long-standing allies. The European Union and the United States have agreed to a trade deal last July. And in politics, as in business, a deal is a deal.
The EC president insists Europe is fully committed to Arctic security, but says plunging them into a downward spiral would only help the very adversaries both the U.S. and Europeans are trying to keep out of the region. Canada says it strongly opposes the tariffs.
Justin Trudeau was also in Davos, where he once again rejected any talk of Canada becoming the 51st U.S. state. The former prime minister was accompanied by his partner, pop star Katy Perry, who sat in the front row. Trudeau also spoke about Canada not meddling in other countries' affairs to take oil. He and Perry ducked out after his talk without speaking to Canadian journalists who attempted to ask them questions.
There was a dazzling display in the sky as the Northern Lights put on a show last night. Scenes like this were enjoyed in various regions of the world. Germany, parts of the U.S., China, and Hungary were treated to spectacular displays. Experts say they resulted from a severe geomagnetic storm. In the UK, heightened solar wind activity pushed levels high enough for the lights to be seen across a wide area, including places well south of their typical range. When the temperature dips to dangerous levels or the snow is blowing, they're out there helping kids stay safe on school day.
Crossing guards are fixtures in the community, and one in our city has been honored as one of Canada's favorites. CTV's Sean Leathong caught up with him at the crosswalk today.
His place is at Bedford Road and Lowther Avenue in downtown Toronto, steps from two public schools. It's where crossing guard Kevin Enriquez proudly navigates safety with charm.
Hello, no problem. Cool glasses.
Combining duty and charisma, and for that, he's been named one of Canada's favorite.
This work is great, and I always love bringing safety and security to kids.
Helping kids to and from school, Enriquez explains that he tries to connect with those he's helping, even as duty calls.
I like the connection. Sorry, pardon me.
He says no matter what kind of day it is or what kind of connection they want, Enriquez is willing to meet them where they are, or as he says.
So, like, the connection is always different, but like, that I respect either way if people are just need to get from point A to point B, right?
Having only been a crossing guard for a year, Enriquez has made such an impression that parents from both Huron Public School and Jesse Ketchum Public School nominated him for Canada's favorite crossing guard.
My kids always are excited to see him in the mornings. Even if it's a rainy day, he'll go out of his way to kind of make you smile like a rainbow in the rain.
Of the 126 crossing guards nominated, Enriquez is one of only 3 winners from across Canada and the only one in Ontario.
But for those kids, he's a leader. He's teaching them how to navigate those crossings safely every single day.
Canada's favorite crossing guard has been awarded since 2005 by Charity Parachute, highlighting those who keep kids safe with a smile.
When kids are happy crossing the streets, it kind of like starts their day off in schools as well. Kind of like it's like a domino effect.
So on one of the coldest days of the year, Kevin Enriquez will try to spread a little warmth.
I really want to get them like kind of like being noticed and like not feel left out. I'm well, how are you?
Helping to keep a community safe and connected. Sean Leathong, CTV News.
Coming up to another community stepping up for their local cobbler. He's been fixing shoes for decades, but with his patching machine broken, customers are coming together to help with the pricey repairs.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, a warning tonight to be careful of roofing scams. The company is going door to door telling homeowners their roofs are in horrible shape. They claim you need to spend tens of thousands of dollars when you might just need some new shingles. I'll have that story. That's just ahead.
So a reminder, we have snow in the forecast for tomorrow. This time the storm is going to get going during the morning commute. It will hopefully taper off by the time we get to the afternoon drive or evening rush. But again, a reminder, we could easily pick up 5 to 10 centimeters of fresh snow this time. And then after this, the colder air filters back in once again. We'll talk about minus 20-degree lows in your weekend forecast coming up.
We did several stories on roofing scams last year. Typically, fraudulent companies go door to door in the spring, summer, and fall.
But some questionable roofers are also knocking on doors this winter. And one family says they were almost scammed out of more than $30,000. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Nathan and Michelle. Well, some people may go door to door giving free inspections or claiming you just need some minor work done. But once they get up on your roof, they could say your home is in terrible shape and you need to do major repairs in a hurry. It was just before New Year's Day in Mississauga when a roofer knocked on the door of Leslie Bentley's home.
I opened the door and he was saying that I see that you need your roof done and, you know, we're in the neighborhood and can we help?
Bentley says her shingles were getting older, so when the roofer said he could replace them, she agreed.
He told me that I needed to pay him $7,000 in cash.
The roofer said the home needed new shingles at a cost of $7,000, but once he got on top of the home, he said the roof was in terrible condition, and that's when the price jumped to $27,000. The roofer claimed Bentley's roof was in horrible shape.
It was rotten, that the wood was rotten, the struts that went down were rotten, and the whole thing needed to be replaced. I think I started to cry. I was really upset.
But before handing over any more money, Bentley called her daughter, Tracy.
I messaged back to my mom and say, do not give him any more money. I'm not sure these guys are legit.
Then Tracy's brother went up on the roof and confronted the roofers, asking to see the rotted wood, but there was no damage.
Which is not rotted. It was in fine condition. There was nothing wrong other than the fact the roof needed new shingles.
As soon as Tracy and her brother asked questions, the roofers took off in a hurry.
We look out the window, the roofers are gone, the van is gone. Everyone took off.
This security video shows the man that Bentley gave the money to. The name of the company is 24 Hours Roofing and Masonry. When CTV News called, we were hung up on twice, and our emails were not returned. Bentley had to hire another company to re-shingle her roof. She says while she regrets handing over $7,000, she's glad she wasn't scammed out of $27,000 and credits her children for helping her out.
I'm sure glad that I've got a very proactive son and daughter. I have no idea where I would be. You know, I would be $27,000 poorer, I guess.
And if you're having renovations done, you may want to check with a family member or trusted friend for a second opinion. With roofers, you should find them yourself, check references, and always be leery of anyone who shows up at your door. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
Well, there's a lot to get to weather-wise. We have this extreme cold, and the next headline is another dose of snow on the way for tomorrow.
Yeah, a warning from Environment Canada, and I'm guessing it's going to start pretty soon, all the snow.
Well, we're calm tonight. That's the good news, at least here in the GTA. I know there's been snow squalls in other parts of the province, but tonight we are calm. Into tomorrow morning, the AM commute will be impacted by this snow beginning. Unlike that big storm last week when it snowed all night and we woke up to heavy snow, this one gets going tomorrow as many are heading out the door and hitting the roads. And it's going to snow for a good portion of the day before tapering off into tomorrow afternoon. I mentioned that some communities have been seeing snow today. That and blowing snow, a big problem once again this morning and this afternoon in areas like Tiny Township, Midland, Penetanguishene, Tay Township. As you can see, roads had to be closed because of visibility issues. Snow continues to accumulate in communities in and around Muskoka. It's been very snowy today around Parry Sound, Bracebridge. Here's a look at the current satellite and radar, and you can see when we start to get squall lines that look like this, they almost look like fingers coming off the lake, you know that they are powerful and they're bringing with them a lot of snow. There was also a squall line near Niagara today impacting the Welland area. That one on Lake Ontario was mainly an issue for New York, upper New York State today, but there are still a couple of snow squall watches and warnings in effect. There's also, however, now this snowfall warning, and this is for us here in the GTA, Toronto, north to Vaughan, Markham, and then Durham region, and then continuing eastward toward Kingston. We've also got a snowfall warning in place for areas well west of the GTA, back toward the shoreline of Lake Huron. So these are the communities that can see 10 plus centimeters of snow. This is a clipper system. It's a fast mover. It's not the same kind of storm that brought us all that snow last week. But yes, many communities, even those not included in the snowfall warning, particularly around the west end of the GTA, you could pick up maybe 5 centimeters of snow compared to Toronto and eastward, where it might be 5 to 10 or more centimeters. And then you can expect some of these snowbelt communities to continue to see further accumulation into Thursday and Friday. thanks to some snow squalls that are going to kick in behind it. So there's about 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Looks like the widespread heavy snow will be midday. That's around the lunch hour. Then it tapers off as the afternoon goes on. Afternoon and evening drive should be a little bit better as long as the plows can get out there and take care of roads and sidewalks. Then you can see those squall lines that develop again for Thursday and for Friday. We've had some very strong winds the last couple of days. These winds are going to persist. A southerly wind for tomorrow, which actually does bump up our temperature. Then it's back to a west wind. By Friday night, a northerly wind is really going to cool us down. And we got a taste of that today. Our coldest day of the season so far, that was today, starting off the day this morning at minus 15 degrees in Toronto. It's minus 12 degrees right now, and we held on to minus 20 wind chills all day long. That will be our evening wind chill tonight, minus 22. Minus 12 is what we're forecasting for the overnight low, so we're pretty well there. Look at this, though. Tomorrow, the one thing is that we do get a slight break from the extreme cold just for one day. Minus 1 degree is the forecast high. Into next week, though, we are going to be talking about the polar vortex into next weekend, really, as Arctic air breaks off from it and brings us here in Toronto some of our coldest temperatures, particularly overnight lows at times, coldest temperatures that we've seen in a couple of years. So minus 20 degrees overnight and into Saturday, but you factor in the winds and it's going to feel more like minus 30. That's the weather for now. Nathan and Michelle, back to you.
Ugh. Thanks, Lindsay. Also tonight, aging is inevitable, but new research suggests Canadians are feeling far less positive about growing older. What a new national survey reveals.
A new survey suggests more older Canadians are feeling less optimistic about aging. The National Institute on Aging says financial insecurity and loneliness are dampening how many people feel about their golden years. 57% of respondents said they still have positive feelings about aging, but that is down from 62% in 2024. The figure had previously been stable for years. The Institute says the latest findings show that older adults increasingly can't afford to retire and feel lonely and socially isolated. Many respondents also don't have primary care doctors, although that has modestly improved. A new exhibit at a Toronto gallery celebrates the world of local artist Sybil Goldstein.
As CTV's Jessica Smith reports, many of the pieces being shown are being displayed publicly for the first time.
A new exhibition at Cobbler Arts lets you get up close with the work of the late Sybil Goldstein.
She was an artist very active on the Toronto art scene, especially during the 1980s and 90s, when the scene was really happening down on Queen Street West.
Titled after the artist herself, Sybil Goldstein, Urban Myths celebrates her life, legacy, and art with more than 60 pieces on display in the Cobbler 301 studio space.
In the storage, there's maybe close to 1,000 pieces. About 400 or so have been documented, and so many of those will be going to institutions and collections, and then afterwards will be offered to the public.
A Torontonian through and through, iconic city scenes are represented in much of her work. This unique style of show lets people view it and take it home.
I'm actually not aware of anywhere in the world that has taken on the entire body of an artist and said, we want to make it public, and that involves giving it away.
The initiative is meant to remove barriers of access and affordability.
Art should be celebrated, and it should be shared, and it needs to be alive. You know, we need oxygen to breathe, and art needs oxygen to breathe as well.
The exhibition will be at Cobbler Arts until March 1st.
The free exhibition opens to the public on January 21st, and then people can start to request to take a piece home at no cost as of February 23rd. Jessica Smith, CTV News.
After the break, it may be the middle of winter, but the boys of summer are top of mind. Blue Jays tickets go on sale tomorrow as the team prepares to celebrate its 50th anniversary.
The North American stock markets sank as world leaders met in Switzerland under the cloud of threats made by the U.S. president. BNN Bloomberg's Marilla Fernandez has more.
The American markets were closed on Monday, so this is the first chance investors have had to respond to the rhetoric. And clearly, they were shaken, continuing to sell America, sending the market nosediving. Both the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq dropped over 2%. And the threat to Greenland sent spot gold to a new record high above $4,700 an ounce. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up to 72.29. West Texas Intermediate up over $1 to 60.36. Western Canadian Select unchanged at 45.16. And the TSX lost 340 points to slip back under 33,000. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marella Fernandez.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
The Toronto Raptors are back in action tonight as they continue a tough 5-game road trip.
Ingram attacking Ingram. The two-handed slam. Well, nice pitch ahead.
Toronto has lost 2 in a row, including a 110-93 loss to the Lakers on Sunday. The Raptors are 4th in the Eastern Conference going into tonight's game against Golden State. The Warriors are winners of 4 straight.
The Toronto Scepters are also back at it tonight. They are in Seattle to play the 7th-place Torrent. It is one of only 2 games in the PWHL. The Scepters ended a 4-game losing streak with an overtime win against the visiting Vancouver Golden Eyes on Saturday.
Game's out of match.
Oh, well, what a great shame. The 17th seed.
Canada's Victoria Mboko will play her second-round match at the Australian Open tonight. She's set to square off against American Katie McNally. Mboko is the only Canadian woman to get out of the first round of singles at the tournament. She's also advancing in doubles after her partner, American Eva Jokic, won her first-round match.
To soccer, and Canada's men's national team is going to host 2 friendlies at BMO Field. They will face Iceland on March 28th, and Tunisia on the 31st. Both visiting sides will get a second game in Toronto playing Haiti. Meanwhile, Canada takes on a yet-to-be-revealed European team in Montreal June 5th or 6th in its final World Cup tune-up. Our men begin play at that tournament June 12th against a European qualifier at BMO.
The Blue Jays home opener is just 2 months away, and tickets go on sale Thursday.
And a swing and a fly ball to left field. Back goes Arozarena. She's gone!
With last season's incredible World Series run still fresh in the minds of fans, the Jays will return home on March 27th to host the Athletics. The team will get another chance to celebrate the winning of the American League Championship with a special pregame ceremony at the home opener. This year's extra special because the team is celebrating its 50th season, which of course means a new logo on merch. And while single game tickets for the upcoming season go on sale Thursday, season ticket holders get access tomorrow. Just ahead, a community comes together to help a small business owner stay on his feet and replace his near 70-year-old shoe repair machine. Finally tonight, a story about a community coming together to help a cobbler.
As CTV's Corey Baird reports, when a key piece of equipment broke down, those who rely on his services stepped up.
For nearly a quarter of a century, Alazar Beyane has been repairing shoes. 10-hour days.
Good morning, shoe repair.
7 days a week. It's not glamorous work, but it's kept him on stable footing until last month.
This is the machine that's broken.
This stitching machine, a cornerstone of his cobbling business, is busted. Over 60 years old, they literally don't make them like this anymore. And without it, Beyane wasn't sure how he could make things work.
This is my right hand, you know.
He thought about diversifying, focusing on key cutting instead, but his customers weren't prepared to say goodbye to their community cobbler.
Full service.
Enter Marcia Shandor, a longtime customer who keeps coming back for the craftsmanship and the unexpected honesty.
He has so much integrity. I brought him shoes before that he will not fix because he says
the mend won't last. And then one time I took them somewhere else. I didn't tell you this. I took them somewhere else and they mended it for $30 and it broke within 1 week.
Determined to give back, she started a GoFundMe to replace the broken machine. No mean feat given the scarcity of parts and the goal of $11,000. Bayane had just one question.
The first thing he said is this legal?
Above board and soon to be above their target. In less than a month, they've reached 90% of their fundraising goal. A new stitching machine has been sourced and is on standby all the way from Germany.
I was so overwhelmed, because I never expected that.
People still are willing to help a stranger because there is good. There is still empathy. We still care about each other.
The love and the support they showed me, I understand that how much they appreciate my service. Okay.
I kind of like them. I didn't want to really part with them.
Corey Baird, CTV News, Toronto.
And we just pulled up the GoFundMe, so the goal is $11,000. Right now, it's at $10,020 raised. That's 92% of the way there. If they raise any more than that, all the money will go to a charity that helps workers in garment and footwear industries around the world.
Doing pretty well. All right, so we've got the cold, we've got the wind, and the snow.
Yeah, you need a good pair of shoes for the next couple of days here. Measurable snow again tomorrow. Looks like this one's going to begin as we make our way into tomorrow morning. So here's your wake-up weather. Likely some snow beginning in the 7 o'clock hour, perhaps 8 a.m., and then it's going to fall for a decent portion of the day. Tomorrow's forecast daytime high, though, is -1 degree. That is seasonal. It's a big improvement from today. It just doesn't last. -4 degrees for your Thursday, and then Friday, a deep freeze once again. -11 for the high, -20 degrees, the forecast overnight low into Saturday. And it looks like it's going to be quite chilly with no real relief from this cold snap into the early part of next week either. Michelle and Nathan.
Thank you, Lindsay. That's it for us, but be sure to join Omar Sachedina tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zoraida Allman with our next local newscast at 11:30.
Meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here at CTV News, thanks for watching and have a great night.